After spending a little more than a week with my PlayStation 5 Pro, I'm here to break down what it's really like to own this upgraded console. If you're considering this purchase or just perhaps curious, let's deep dive into the pros, the cons, and the real value that it offers right now. Now, before I proceed, I want to clarify one thing. Yes, I'm mainly a PlayStation user, but I will not be biased towards this console, and even if there are negatives, I will be very honest and even brutal to the point, and I want to be transparent as possible. So, that's why I wanted to bring this my honest review for the PlayStation 5 Pro. Now, knowing you're playing on the most powerful PlayStation console available, it definitely gives a nice sense of satisfaction, especially if, like me, you want the best possible version of your games outside of what a high-end PC can provide. Now, the PlayStation 5 Pro brings with it a 4K display upgrade with a frame rate boost in certain titles, plus faster loading times and speeds and improvements towards the ray tracing support. For me, this felt like a big promise, a new level of smoothness, clarity, and of course the immersion. But as I have played, I found myself facing a bit of a reality check. The improvements are unfortunately subtle, even incremental. If you already own a base PlayStation 5, the difference isn't earth-shattering. It's not like moving from the PlayStation 3 to the PlayStation 4 or even from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5. It's more like upgrading your phone after a few generations. It's better, sure, but not exactly transformative. Now, the difference feels subtle enough that you'll start to question if the benefits justify the steep price tag. Now, let's actually talk about the price itself, because it is indeed a significant factor. The PlayStation 5 Pro comes in a hefty $70, even 800 euros that I had to pay, and that's without a disc drive or even a stand. By the time you add the disc drive and a stand, you'll be looking at around $800, and for me it was 920 euros. That's nearly double the $400 or 400 euros price for the PlayStation 4 Pro when it launched in 2016. Even with inflation factored in, the PlayStation 5 Pro is still going to be significantly pricier. At this price, it's no longer a simple guilty-free upgrade, it is a serious investment. The high cost of the PlayStation 5 Pro seems to reflect more than just a desire to profit on Sony's part. It's a sign of the times, right? Game development costs have skyrocketed, and the whole industry is feeling it. Sony's recent attempts to branch into live service games haven't worked out as planned, with some projects getting cancelled and others, well, of course, as we know it, like Concord, underperforming completely, even being removed entirely. This price jump probably reflects the increased cost of production and the state of the highly competitive industry rather than just Sony's desire to cream of the top. One surprising thing for me was the lack of disc drive and a stand in the Pro model. These omissions feel frustrating, especially considering that this is Sony's Pro version. If you're shelling out extra cash, it's fair to expect a complete package. Instead, the disc drive has been made optional, so if you want it, that'll be extra. It's a disappointing choice by Sony because it makes the Pro feel less like a premium device and more like a build-your-own console experience where you pay for each feature piecemeal. For comparison, the PlayStation 4 Pro came with everything you needed, and it felt like a well-rounded upgrade. But here, it's hard not to feel like Sony cutting corners on essentials while raising the prices significantly. So, how does it feel to game on the PlayStation 5 Pro? It's worth acknowledging that right now, there isn't a single title that takes a full advantage of this hardware upgrade. The improvements in load times, frame rate, and visual fidelity are definitely there, but they are often subtle. For an example, LEGO Horizon Adventure is fun, but it's not exactly a showcase for the Pro's power. The games that will likely show the Pro's potential, like as an example Death Stranding 2, Ghost of Yotei, or in fact even Grand Theft Auto 6, are still on horizon. In other words, if you buy a PlayStation 5 Pro now, you're doing so for the future that's not yet fully realized. It feels like buying into a promise of what the Pro could do down the line rather than what can do right now. With Sony's recent shift in how they distribute games, we have more options than ever. Previously, if you wanted to play Sony's exclusives, you had to own a PlayStation. Now, many PlayStation games eventually made their way over to PC, and for the live service games, sometimes they launch date and date. This makes a PC a more viable alternative. For the same price as the PlayStation 5 Pro, you could build a pretty capable gaming PC that offers more flexibility, better graphics, and more powerful options. Cloud gaming services are another options that didn't exist on this scale when the PlayStation 4 Pro launched. Platforms like xCloud, GeForce Now, and Amazon Luna makes it possible to play high-end games on almost any screen for a fraction of the upfront cost of a console. xCloud lets you play Xbox games on the devices like iPads using a PlayStation controller, in fact. And for about $20 a month, GeForce Now allows you to play on a powerful virtual machine, potentially with even better graphics than the PlayStation 5 Pro. In short, there are real market shifts. While the PS5 Pro is a solid console with a nice hardware, there's an alternatives that start to look very appealing, especially given the PS5 Pro's price tag. The console business isn't what it used to be, and Sony's position is a lot more complicated than ever. Nintendo still is on the top with the Switch, and Microsoft is revolutionizing the market with Game Pass, offering its games on multiple platforms and focusing on ecosystem management engagement over exclusive hardware sales. With Microsoft now owning Activision Blizzard King, they're pushing a strategy that cares less about where you play as long as you're a part of that ecosystem. The classic consoles wars model is fading, replaced by platforms that embraces diverse access points. For Sony, this means competing on multiple fronts. The high price of the PS5 Pro could be an effort to offset their struggles in live services and rising game development costs, especially as they continue on relying on a classic exclusivity-driven model in a market that's pivoting towards accessibility and subscription-based gaming. So, is the PS5 Pro worth it? I'd say that truly depends on where you stand as a gamer. If gaming is your primary hobby, you have the disposable income, and you truly committed to the world of console gaming, then the PS5 Pro is indeed a good choice. It's the most powerful console on the market, and it does bring improvements that may become more noticeable as the developers start to optimize it for it. But if gaming is something you do occasionally, or if you're on a budget, the base PS5 will serve you well for a while yet. Right now, the PS5 Pro feels like a system designed for the future, with much of its value not yet visible. Personally, I'm excited to see how games like Grand Theft Auto 6, Ghost of Yotei, Death Stranding 2, and the next big Sony exclusive will perform. But I wouldn't say it's an essential purchase at this stage. For those of you considering PC gaming, that's $800 or even €900 could go quite a long way. You could build a great setup or take advantage of the cloud streaming options. Sony's recent moves to bring more games to PC makes that route even more viable. The PlayStation 5 Pro isn't selling out, and it's not hard to find, unlike many past consoles releases. This actually speaks volumes about the market and whether this upgrade was necessary right now. While Sony may eventually refine the Pro's value proposition, either through a price drop or by enhancing its software, it's safe to say they have missed the mark a bit in making it feel like an essential upgrade. For now, the PS5 Pro might be a nice luxury, but not for many. It may feel more like an indulgence rather than a must-have. And at that, tell me down in the comments as well, have you picked up yourself a PlayStation 5 Pro? Maybe you're considering it. Thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe. I see you guys all, and have a wonderful day.